When you know who you are and you're clear about the big impact you're called to make in the earth, you are unstoppable. Hi there, everybody. This is Tish Chimes, and I'd like to welcome you to the Unstoppable You podcast. I am here to help teach business and sales leaders to be more confident, to make much more money, and to change lives. This podcast features lively discussions with savvy business and life experts and tips for building better business relationships. We want to help you to move your confidence needle in the right direction, shorten the sales cycle, and achieve massive success without compromising your core values. For more information about Tish Times networking and sales or anything about me, just go over to tishtimes.com. I'd love to hang out with you more, so please make sure that you subscribe. You can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever you might be finding us right now. Please just hit that subscribe button so you can be made aware of when we're going to be back with more exciting information and exciting guests. And a real quick secret is if you want to hang out a little bit more, you can also join the Unstoppable Confidence Party Room, which is our Facebook group, and be able to interact with me and my tribe a little bit more. And I can't wait to meet you over there. But today, I am so stoked, and on a very personal level, that I will share with you in just a little bit about our guest. Her name is Karen Russo, and she is the award-winning author of The Money Keys and the creator of CFO Camp. Her clients achieve 3 consistent results: financial breakthrough, healing, and major business momentum. As an MBA from Columbia University and an ordained interfaith minister, Karen shares from decades of success in business and personal growth. Now, although most of my guests I've met on some level, I know Karen, and I know her in a different way that I want to share with you in a little bit. But first, let me ask Karen, would you be willing just to greet the people this morning? Thanks a lot, Karen, for being here.
Oh, Tish, thank you so much. This is really, it's a great opportunity for us to talk about confidence, but also to experience, our simpatico and what we've learned from each other, which I think is just going to be great for your listeners.
Well, I am super stoked, probably more so than, I don't know. I'm always stoked about our guests. We have phenomenal guests. But today I'm really excited, Karen, because I am reading your book. and I think I shared with you when I saw you that I am having some major personal breakthroughs with the book myself. So why don't we start by you just sharing a little bit about what prompted you to write this book?
Yes. So The Money Keys it's a message, it's a for-profit signature system, and it's got a heart of a ministry. And your folks have that creator mindset. So I'll give a little of the background. Over 10 years ago, I was a recently ordained minister. I was still a corporate trainer, and it became clear to me that I was not going to be a senior minister or a pastor of my own congregation. So that just wasn't the call of my heart. I loved teaching. So I came out of the womb pointing to a blackboard back then. I was like pointing to something, right? And I loved teaching. And I really went like, what's important to me? And it was like, I love God. I love money. I see people struggling. How can they go together?
Yeah.
And Tish, you remember 2003, 4, 5, 6. At the spiritual centers and churches, everybody's like, the divine is abundant. There's this vibration of prosperity. But then, and people were in affirmative prayer, so to affirm, but a little light on habits and tactics.
Yes.
And then we'd go to those millionaire mindset workshops. We're all like 1,000 people in a ballroom, and you've got a millionaire mind, and we're all going to, invest in residential real estate and do tax liens and day trading, and it's all tactics and strategies, and then mindset. Rich people think this way, but a little light on let me surrender to my higher values and purpose for being here.
Right.
So literally, The Money Keys is just how do all 3 go together? What's spirituality about money, beliefs, and habits? And I know that's what you're working with when you work with people about confidence, about selling. You got to have all 3. You got to have your your heart and your vision and your inspiration, you got to have the right mindset, and then you got to know what to do.
Absolutely. You know what's so funny? I mean, I knew I loved you already, but I love you even more right now because that is exactly just the place that I come from. Often people feel like, well, if I have all these skills and these systems, boom, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to be super, successful. And that's so not the case, as we know, that there has to be an origin where you can attach that faith. And for me, it's God. Whereas many people feel like if I know enough and I do enough, then I'll get enough. And that's just not true. And you said that. You said something like that in your book, that there's not enough, like action that you can take in order to overcome a scarcity mindset.
No, there is never enough of that which does not satisfy.
Yeah, it's pretty genius. Every time I'm reading it, Karen, I'm saying to you, Karen, you're all up in my business. Like, get out of my business. But it's good. It's really, really, really good. So let me ask you just a few questions. I want to make sure that the audience has a chance to get to know you, I guess, in a little bit of the way that I have. For you, obviously, in order to even see the need for this, there has to be a level of confidence that you possess, at the very least around money, but I know you have it in many other areas as well. What is your confidence story? Have you always had this level of confidence?
Well, I've always seemed confident. So I've always seemed like I was the kid in class, like with my hands up like this, and I loved school. And I had some challenges, my own life, my family life, where school to me was this like respite. And I grew up in the East Coast of the United States. I went to the best public schools in the world. So I just have this like love and respect for education. So I always was a learner and it seemed confident. But then by the time I got to my but I had stuff about myself, then teens, early 20s, I started drinking and created experiences of shame and bad girl. So I was like good girl by day and bad girl by night for over a decade or so. And for me, the confidence began when I surrendered it all. When I said, I can't, even though I think I'd gotten through business school and I had a job at a bank, but I was hiding all this stuff. So I had to just completely surrender and truly say, like on my knees, help me. And that's when I had complete surrender. And that's why you see, this big blue book back here. I went to the support groups, and that's where I got connected to a power greater than myself, to the idea of surrender. And that's where I had my basic, isn't it funny to say my confidence came from surrendering it all and learning I'm powerless over things, but I have choice about my opinions. I can choose my actions, which create a different mindset. I learned it all there, and then developed, then I was able to have a combination of skill but humility, which I think real confidence is like this alchemy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know where I'm a rock star, but I also am like, where do I need to learn from Tish Times about follow-up?
And vice versa. It's like, okay, it's like you got all these things in place, but I think even in scripture, we talk about the rich young ruler, that there's that one thing. And for all of us, I think there's that one thing that we just have not figured out either how to surrender it or know that we need to surrender it and understand that, we have all these, because he said, you have all of this stuff together, but you lack one thing. And so I'm so glad that you're saying that. I'm at a point, Karen, where I'm just really ready for people just to be honest and just, I'm like, I don't want to do another interview where it's like, you got to be all put together and all that. Let's just be real. And I appreciate that.
Yes. Well, and that's what our clients and prospects and colleagues and markets all want. Yeah. So these days, just think about it. Which podcast do you want to listen to, whether people are being real or whether they're, kind of blowing smoke? And it's a combination of like, let me be real, but also let me talk about possibility that's inspiring. So I've got to believe if people work with me, they can transform their money. If people work with you, they can have a follow-up system that actually works for them. You have to be able to paint a picture that what you're offering moves something forward. And at the same time, meet people where they are and talk about your own journey.
Absolutely. Well, I know for a fact that your work transforms lives. I mean, just getting to see it from this side and having talked to other people, it's just amazing what you are doing. And I'd love to hear if you could sum up your journey in one word. What would that word be and why?
I love that you asked this. It's integration.
Ooh, please do tell. Why integration?
So my whole thing is darkness and light, good and bad, male and female, spiritual and material. I like to know, how do you bring to money and God? How do you bring two seemingly separate things together?
So good.
Yeah. So on a whole other podcast, we can talk about, I was single till I was 40. I'm a woman with a lot of masculine energy, but I wanted a, boyfriend. But then I was like, I have to be more feminine. And then I got upset about not being myself, and long story. And when I finally embraced my own masculine energy with real appreciation, I attracted in the partner. But anyway, integration. I'm always like, why is that true? Why is that not true? That's what I'm interested in.
That is so cool. I love that. And I find that I've recently saw, who did I see? I just saw someone either who wrote a book. I believe her name is Erica Moore. And she said, the book title is, I'm done with the if, then, or it's basically, it's being able to live an and life. I can have this and this, opposed to this or this. And in many cases, we limit ourselves and we box ourselves into being only able to do this. And I'll tell you, Karen, when I finally embraced the fact that I am a minister, I am a believer, I walk by faith, and I'm a business owner, all these things, and stop trying to compartmentalize my life. Oh, the liberty that came, the freedom that came with that. And it's like, I don't have to try to filter my words around different people and everything. It's like, people love me because of all of who I am, or they won't. And that's okay if they don't.
That's okay. Absolutely. I think this is like a great message for everyone, is the more authentic you are, the more one can, I feel like we can walk in a bunch of different worlds if people know who we are and what we're up to.
Yeah.
And I feel like people can respect, like if someone's a believer in a faith tradition, it's almost like if you really own that, then you can be such a respecter of someone who has a completely different philosophy.
Right.
Like I found that to be really true. It's almost like, but then, it's a balance, right? It's like, you don't want, because you'll hear sometimes people say, let your mess become your message. It's like, yeah. And you also, we pretty much like the story of the prodigal son who comes back and has some success.
Yes.
We'd like to know, if we're going to invest with each other and do it confidently, I want to work with somebody. You don't have to be perfect, but you got to own your stuff. And I got to see that there's something about the thing I care about that you can teach me.
That's the truth. Yeah, I completely love that. I'm like, I want you to have had some experience, but I want you to have overcome that experience and be able to help me through mine as well. I completely agree. Absolutely. So, Karen, tell me, and this is going to be, I believe, an interesting question to ask you, because I know that you approach business, from a different perspective maybe than others might, because of the topics that you teach. What would you say your sales secret is? And believe me, I understand sales is not what people generally think it is. But before I kind of give any foundation around that, what would you say your sales secret is?
I have been a good student. So I've been willing to learn. So I've tried a lot of things, and I've not just tried them like, do I like doing this? I've tried it enough to really learn, does it work for me? So I think my secret, one, is be a good student. Two is learn from great coaches. So I've, hired people, I've trained, I've tried things. And then I look at what really gets results. So I have a boutique coaching business and the way I work with people is a 90-day, 13-week group coaching program. The people who want to join that program, and it's a, $2,000-$3,000 investment. So it's somewhere right there for somebody who's in the $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 wants to get higher.
Right.
I know who, so here so people are listening. I know who my ideal client is. I know what mostly she is up to. And why do they join? They have met me in person. They have heard the message. They've felt my vibration. And then I have to do these sort of awkward, but it's important, follow up with them 5 to 7 times because you need to do that. Schedule 25 minutes on the phone for a discovery session. Really tune in.
Right.
Is this right for them? And then get the credit card while you're on the phone.
Bingo. Perfect. I love it.
So you tell me, so what I've said, like, how does that fit with the kind of things you're coaching people for?
Oh, it's perfect. I mean, and most people, depending on how ready their ideal client is when they meet them, it might be a few more touches. We look at probably more like 12 to 15 touches depending, and understanding that that's a possibility. If you can get it in 5 to 7, wonderful. But most people are going to take a little bit longer. But everything else, I mean, it's right on point, what I'm saying. It all the way to don't wait. As we'll say, well, let me let you think about it and I'll get back to you. You've just lost that sale. You've just lost that sale in most cases.
Yeah.
In most cases. So yeah, no, I love it. It's fantastic. And I know that it obviously is working for you.
And I would say I continue to be a student because I get, I will look at the bright, shiny object. Somebody emails that there's a way to do some kind of if I do Facebook videos, people are going to join my program.
It's akin to meeting someone for the first time. It is not hey, I'm joining right now. It's almost never going to happen. I'll never say never, but very, very, very seldom will that actually happen.
Yeah. So somebody just followed up with me after an event and suggested an upgrade for one of my products, a little project she could help with. And I'm going to email her back to say, thank you so much. What a great idea. And it's not a fit for me because I put all of my marketing and project time and energy into enrollment for my twice-a-year camp. And that to me is am I being a witch by doing that? Do you know?
No, not at all.
Coach Tish says, no, I've got to stay focused.
You have to. And that's the thing. And I think that's important for me because I'm also a bright and shiny, squirrel, big time. So at the beginning of right now, and I look over there because my calendar's there, I start planning my entire next year right now. And I know pretty much, okay, what am I going to spend money on? What things are going to be important for me to accomplish these goals? And so it makes it easier to be able to say yes to certain things and no to certain things because it's already pretty much planned. And for those believe me, this is experience talking, not because I've mastered this, but because I've gotten burned on it so many times, as I've learned that if I know what I'm going to be spending on, I can't get distracted by all the millions of things that will come across my desk over the course of the year.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I completely thumbs up. I totally agree with that. And I'm glad that you're able to do it because you have no idea how many times I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Getting drawn into a trance and then
I'm a little bit like the kid in middle school is what are the other girls doing? The other girls
doing. Totally. What we should be asking is what's not working for the other people, because in reality, what I've started doing is doing a little more investigation, only to find out, they've tried it too, and it didn't work for them either, which means we probably should have just stayed on plan. There's a movie with Denzel Washington, and now I can't remember the name of it, but one of the things he says in the movie is stay on the path, stay on the path, stay on the path. Mm-hmm. You're going to see all these things that are happening, and it looks like they're so important, and they absolutely need you, but you have an assignment, stay on the path. And that's kind of like my stay on the path, stay on the path. Unless God says otherwise, you need to stay focused on what you set to accomplish.
That's a lot of the work that I do with people is this thing about progress. So Tony Robbins recently did some talk where he said, there's one thing people want, progress.
Yeah.
And I find that weekly accountability and support and all of that creates this sense of momentum. So that's another theme I'm seeing is that breaking stuff down into chunks, smaller and smaller chunks, and then doing it side by side and getting it done and moving forward. Like I think it's, if you want to be filled with esteem and confidence, you have a series of behaviors that prove that to yourself.
Oh, so listeners, I hope you heard what she just said, because that in and of itself will change the way you do business and change the way you operate, because confidence does come from accomplishment, no matter how small. And so when we see that, okay, I've made this, I've had this happen, I've gotten some progress, it gives you confidence to keep moving forward. So I'm really, really glad that you said that. So Karen, I would love for you to tell us, if you can think of, even if it's one or two, what have been or who have been the most important connections in your life? Who've played the biggest role, whether it's mentors or coaches or maybe even family?
I appreciate you asking this. I thought about it ahead of time. I think it's really good to have mentors and teachers. And the way I've done it is I have them, I don't have one person have to be it all.
Right.
So for me, it's worked. I have a business presence coach now. She's amazing. I've kissed a lot of frogs before I found her.
Yeah.
But I have a spiritual prayer partner. I have a friend that I call for prayer on that. And then I have 2 or 3 peer like vision groups where we come together once a month and vision. So for me, connections. And then I like, I'm committed. We see each other in the Valley of the Sun here. eWomen and NABO. I've selected a couple of women's networking groups that are good for me, rather than trying to do it all.
Yeah.
Choose a few. I've served on some committees, participate. That's worked really well for me. I like to go a little bit deeper rather than broad. And I'm realizing too, doing some numbers, my ideal for 2018, 20 to 25 people in each of my groups. That's only 50 people. Yes. So I don't need to meet everybody as much as I would love to. Like, there's some visibility stuff I dream about, but I'm going to do that for fun. And I think I can talk to 75 to 100 to get my 50. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, if I can get the right 75 to 100, if I start saying numbers like that, I start to get excited. And I feel less overwhelmed.
I love that. God, I love that, because I think when we talk about even that word networking, people think they have to go to a million different places and meet a million different people, only to know, someone said this that I thought was so brilliant. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Meaning, if you're in front of the right people, then you don't have to talk to 100 of them, or 1,500 of them rather, to get to your 50. You can talk to 100 of them, or you can talk to 75 of them, and very easily be able to invite them in. And they will not only say yes, but they have been looking for you all along. And that's the important thing, is to find those people who are already looking for you, which is why, as you said, knowing that ideal client profile so well is so important. So yeah, you're right. You're singing along with the choir here, Karen. I am loving what you're saying. So I'm excited for this question, because I'm hoping, Karen, that not only might someone hear the answer to this question or hear this entire podcast and want to, say, I need to talk to Karen Russo. I'm hoping that even with the answer to this next question, kind of like I have been as I'm reading through the Money Keys, they will find their one thing and say, oh my God, this is something that I needed to hear. This is something that I need to change, and really have a revolutionary moment from this opportunity, from the opportunity to have heard you. So what would you say is one thing you could share to help our audience develop an unstoppable money game in the next 30 days? And I say the next 30 days because it's not going to be one of those things where they're going to be able to, work on it incrementally for a whole year. I mean, what's one thing that someone can change to see some level of shift in their money game?
Try on this idea. Money is neutral. It's like language or technology. Literally, the digits on the screen, the pieces of paper don't mean anything except for the meaning we assign to them. Just try it on. Money's neutral. The meaning about money is really powerful. And you and I, we're the meaning makers. So just Try that on for 30 days. Look how many clients I have, what numbers of revenue are coming in. We're the ones who look at that and go big or little, good or bad, better or worse. If we can be the ones who assign a meaning that is positive and empowering, I think it makes a big difference.
I love that. I absolutely love that. When I think about that, it reminds me of Deuteronomy 8:18. That says that God gives us the power to create wealth. And if we're the creator of it already, why can't we assign the value ourselves?
Yes.
I love that. That's life-changing for me. So I know someone has heard this and said, oh my God. I am sure of it. And I'm so super grateful for you today. I'm absolutely grateful is the only word I can think of that just really shares, the way I feel right now, that you are willing to share your brilliance, and share all of the things that you've learned over the course of your career, your life. And I am going to ask, I know some of you all are listening to this, whereas others are looking at it with us on YouTube. This book right here will change your life if you will allow it to. So The Money Keys by Karen Russo. I'm assuming they can go to your website and pick this up, as well as maybe on Amazon.
Both. So the best place to actually start is themoneykeys.com. So TheMoneyKeys.com. Themoneykeys.com. You can get the book there. You can also get our free video training that people really enjoy, the 3 money myths. And Amazon is great. You can get the Money Keys and also my little book, Grow Yourself, Grow Your Wealth.
Wonderful. So if I were you, I'd go to themoneykeys.com, get the free stuff and enjoy that. And then you'll also be able, I'm sure, to stay in touch with Karen. And if you have questions, reach out to her on the website. I'm sure there's a contact form, right? Or a way for them to reach out to you. Or is there a different way you'd like for them to reach you?
Website is great. And we've got a Facebook. I love that you called it The Party. So you can go to Facebook, and The Money Keys is our business page. So I'd love to see you there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you once again, Karen. You all make sure that you go over and grab The Money Keys as quickly as possible, because I know for a fact that it is going to give you the key for change. So the one thing I want to share with you is the reason I do this podcast is to bring authenticity and love for relationships to the sales process. I believe that relationships are the catalyst for success, and you can have great relationships and business success. I want women and smart men to have real confidence in business so that they can master sales conversations, network like a pro, and make life-changing income. I can't wait to see you on the next episode of the Unstoppable You podcast. And in the meantime, make sure you hit subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks a lot. When you sell from a place of authenticity, you become magnetic, and you can take your business from barely visible to unforgettable.